Tonight I'm offering a little free policy advice to Energy Minister Chris Bowen. The challenge on the table: to decarbonise the electricity grid. And to look for answers, let's just have a quick flight around the world in real time using an app called electricitymaps.com. We'll start in the Yukon in far northwest Canada, where the grid is currently running as close to zero carbon as you can get. The electricity system's emitting just 24 grams of carbon for every kilowatt hour of electricity, which I can tell you is very low, 100% carbon free to all intents and purposes. Here's what's happening in Ontario right now: 21 grams of carbon per kilowatt hour. That's 98% low carbon electricity. Green star to Ontario. Let's take a swing across the Atlantic to Finland, where the grid is emitting 41 grams of carbon per kilowatt hour. That's 96% carbon free to all intents and purposes. Well done, the Finns. And now back to Australia, Queensland. Right now, they're emitting 737 grams of carbon per kilowatt hour, 35 times more than in Ontario, Canada. Just 8% of the electricity in Queensland is low carbon. That's mostly wind. For the rest, well, coal and gas. What do you expect? Chris Bowen says what Australia needs is more wind turbines and more solar panels. But of course, wind and solar, as any galah will tell you, does not produce dispatchable, reliable energy. The fuel mix in Queensland over the last 24 hours tells the story. There's a heap load of low-emission electricity in the middle of the day. At lunchtime yesterday, for instance, Queensland was running on 54% solar power and 3% wind. But at 6 p.m, it's a very different picture. 26% gas, 66% coal, which has a carbon intensity of 820 grams per kilowatt. So why is Australia failing so miserably? You might say that the 44,000 hardy souls in the Yukon just got lucky. They're blessed with heaps of mountains and plenty of water, and they've installed 4 hydroelectric dams that provide 100% of their energy with zero carbon emissions. But in the heavy industrial province of Ontario, they've had to make their own luck. Here's Ontario's mix for the last 24 hours. They were running off 30% hydro, a smidgen of solar, 16% from wind turbines, and the remaining 50% is coming from nuclear power. Back to Finland, 20% of the electricity is coming from the Finnish hydro plants, another 12% from hydro generators in Sweden, 17% of the current demand is coming from wind turbines. The heavy lifting is coming from nuclear. So here's what the leader of the Finnish Green Party has to say.
Sources are renewables alone enough, and I encourage everyone to do this math. This is what the Greens of Finland have been doing, and as a result we've actually adopted a more technology neutral, pragmatic and to some extent pro-nuclear stance on energy policy.
So when Bowen turns up his nose at nuclear,
because it's a very bad idea,
he's rejecting the only viable technology that will get us anywhere close to his ambitious 2050 zero target, which leads to just one conclusion. For all his earnest rhetoric, Australia's Energy Minister just doesn't seem that serious about getting to net zero.